Today we're going to look at solving multi-step equations. So let's jump right in with an example and we'll get going with that. Here's our first problem. I think we're going to do two different problems today because this is kind of important. So we have 4x minus 3 and then parentheses 5x minus 2. And then we close the parentheses, and this equals negative 49. Okay, so we'll still build our fence here. We'll put a fence right there. Very good. Now we'll notice that we have some parentheses here. So we want to get rid of those. And probably the best way to do that is use the distributive property. Remember that? Kind of the bunny jumping. And let's see what that does. So let's see. So we'll have 4x, that stays the same. And now we're going to multiply this negative 3. Remember, always look at what's in front of numbers in algebra. So we're going to multiply this negative 3 times 5x. And then we're going to multiply that negative 3. Remember, the bunny hops twice. We're going to multiply it by this negative 2. All right, so let's see. So negative 3 times 5x will be negative 15x. Okay, and then negative 3 times a negative 2 is going to be a positive 6 because a negative times a negative is a positive. And of course, this all still equals negative 49. Okay, so over here, I see we have something. We have a 4x and a negative 15x. So we can combine those two into a negative 11x because 4 minus 15 is negative 11. And the x's just the letter x just kind of goes along for the ride. So now we have negative 11x plus 6 equals negative 49. Okay, getting down to an equation we're more used to and stuff like that. So this negative or this positive 6 here is going to jump, and over here it's going to become a negative 6. Okay, so let's put that. So it's going to jump, and over here it's going to become a negative 6. So it's gone from this side. We're left with negative 11x equals, now what's negative 49 minus 6? Well, remember from negative numbers and all that stuff, a negative, and then we've pretend we've lost $49 betting on the horse or something. The next race, we lost even more money, so we've lost a bunch of money. In this case, we've lost negative 55. Very good. Now we're almost there. We're almost done. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 11, whatever number's in front of whatever letter. In this case, it's a negative 11. So they go away and we get x, that's what we want, equals, now 55 divided by 11 is 5, and then a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So that right there is our final answer for this particular problem, x equals 5. Now remember my advice from last time, if I were you, it's an old-fashioned way, but boy does it work, I would copy this problem down right there and keep going over it and over it, do it again and again and again. At least, I would say 10 to a dozen times until you got it memorized. Because these techniques are all the same stuff. All they do is just change the numbers. Okay, so if you get the technique down by practice, then you're all set. All right, let's try one more. I usually don't like doing two in a video. I want to keep these short, but this is kind of important. This one's a little bit different. It has division in it. So let's try negative 7x minus 6, and that's all over a negative 3 equals a negative 5. Okay, now there's different ways to do these types of problems, but I like doing it one way, and you can use this way for all the advanced algebra stuff. It's one technique you learn, and you're all set for the whole thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw some parentheses here around the whole thing. And you'll notice the denominator here is a -3. So we're going to multiply the entire problem by that -3. I'm going to put a -3 over here, and I'll put one over here just so we can keep it clear. And now we can draw our fence. Okay. Now notice these -3s. I wrote this one a little up, a little high. So it'll remind you that these cancel out because one's kind of on top and one's on the bottom. So we're left with -7x minus 6. And this is going to equal, now what's -5 times -3? Well, 5 times 3 is 15. We know that from arithmetic class. And a negative times a negative is a positive. So now we changed our equation. We got rid of that denominator stuff, and we have kind of a regular equation here. So our -6 is going to jump over here and become a +6 or a +6. So that leaves us with -7x equals 21. Okay, you're doing just fine. And now we're going to divide both sides by whatever number's in front of whatever letter. In this case, it's a -7. So they go away, and we end up with x equals a -3. And that is our final answer. So if I were you, I'm just going to erase a little bit here. If I were you, I would do this problem right here over and over. Let me erase this. There we go. Do that problem over and over. Practice, practice, practice. It's the same techniques. You might even, if you're watchful, if you keep your eyes open, you might even find an easier, quicker way to do it. But the technique that we use is good for all types of algebra, even the fancy algebra. Okay, so that's my advice. Keep practicing, and you're doing just fine.